Hey family, it's Tasha MAMABEAR Prepping. So welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Get your drink, pull up. We're about to talk about it. We're going to talk about sources of water, how to get sources of water, ways and places you would get water. And then of course, we're going to reiterate making it safe to drink. Now, one thing I want to address right now off the top is I've done several videos in the past since I've had this channel, and I think one misstep that I took is a long time ago, I did a basic water video where I was talking about water, making it safe, talking about containers, talking about sourcing water, just a very, very broad overview. And I said things in there like drinking water from a pool, sourcing water from rivers, different things like that. And you know, I had a few very educated folks in my stream, and they basically, you know, attacked me in messages about you can't drink water from a pool and you can't drink water from a river. Stop telling people to do that. People are gonna die, blah 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 blah. So what I want to make clear is you absolutely can drink from those sources. That I want to put out right now to get that out there. Second thing though, and this is where I feel like I misstepped with this video, is that I didn't really hit home on how do you make those sources safe to drink. And it is not safe to just go out to these sources and just start drinking water, okay? So today we're gonna talk about different places that you can source water, and then some real big do nots, right? Some don'ts, some tips on how to make those different water sources safe to drink, okay? So just to name a few, you have sources. Right now, you know, you have bottled water, you have tap water, but outside of that, and outside of, you know, you lining up to try to get water somewhere, where would you get water to continue to have potable, drinkable water, okay? So there's things like creeks, rivers, ponds, waterfalls, pools, lakes, streams, natural springs, streams of water, rainwater, wells, hot tubs, seawater, right? And the problem is remember, the number one tip is everything is contaminated until it's not, okay? And the question really becomes, is this a water source that I can make safe to drink, okay? And on top of that, is there anything special that I have to do in order to make this source safe to drink? Because some stuff, it does take certain processes to make it safe to drink, okay? And so you've got to do your research. You've got to figure out what you're going to be doing. What do you have around you? Give yourself options, and then research and know and have the skills to understand how you would make that water safe to drink, okay? So we're going to get into some tips, and then I'm going to talk about a couple of these things. Some tips, some things to remember. Contaminated until it's not. This is as simple as, you know, something that could be clean today, right? You walking out to your pond or a free, you know, a creek that's running through a filtered system, right? Something that right now today could be clean. Maybe you've tested it, whatever. You never assume that the next time you take a drink of water that it is safe to drink. That is the problem that I'm going to see with a lot of folks, that they come at me and they're like, well, we have a well and we have 2 creeks on our property. We have a pond. We're only a mile from the river, right? And so they're like, we have plenty of water, and they do not concern themselves with water. They don't concern themselves with storing water. They don't concern themselves with really the things that they would have to worry about in order to make that water safe to drink. Just because it's there doesn't mean you necessarily have it and that it's going to be safe for you to drink, especially if you're not prepared to make it safe to drink, okay? So contaminated until it's not. The faster it moves, the better, right? Just off GP, just real basic stuff. The faster the water is moving, the better, right? The more stagnant it is, the worse it is, okay? And that's just from beginning. That doesn't mean that if it's running it's safe for you to drink, okay? It doesn't mean if it's fast flowing, it's safe for you to drink. That is not what I'm saying, okay? You have to make the water safe to drink yourself. Never drink water unless it's been filtered, boiled, and treated, okay? And again, do not assume that one day because it was good, that the next day it is still good, okay? Because variables will be possibly introduced, right? It only takes one person to shit in the water and now it's contaminated, right? And you can get deathly ill from that, okay? Stay away from overly stagnant, stay away from runoff, stay away from drains, ditches, that type of thing, okay? That's nasty stuff. That's gray water. That's just not, you have no idea where that source is coming from. It's just not good at all, okay? So stay away from even trying to get water. Now, if we're at the end, it's like Mad Max. There's like no water anywhere. I mean, people are going to be getting water and sourcing water from all types of places trying to make it safe to drink, or maybe not, right? But my opinion is that is not viable sources for you to be getting that water with the intent of trying to make it safe to drink. Do not start with that stuff. Tools to find underground water, right? Right now you have the ability to go online and buy some tools and get some stuff together so that if you did have the opportunity to start digging on your land, digging on a property, digging somewhere, trying to find some offshoot of water underground, that you have some stuff to be able to do that. Tomorrow, when we do the grocery list, we'll talk more in depth with what those tools could be, okay? Conceal when you can. So again, you have a source of water, you have a body of water. If you're able to conceal that, conceal it. Obviously, you cannot conceal a river. You cannot conceal, certain things, right? But if you had a pond that you dug out, right, and that you have and you built with the mindset that you have done what you needed to do to make it, keep it going, so that one day if you did need to fall back on using that as drinking water, that you planned on, making safe to drink, maybe concealing it with bushes or whatever around it, right? If you have a pool, you have a hot tub, you have rain barrels, you have different things in your backyard, whatever, concealing as much as possible from the view of, i.e. neighbors, somebody popping their head over the fence and seeing, what do you have that people can see, because it's going to be desperate times. So any food that people can see, any water that people can see, anything that's catching water that people can see, it might be something that you didn't even, really plan or have out as purposely to catch water, but somebody who's looking for water looks over the fence and sees, oh, you have that little lid from a container that's sitting over somewhere and it's collecting water, and they're so desperate for water that they see that and they're like, okay, we're gonna hop the fence and get that. Just look around and see what people would view from their point of view when they're desperate, okay? So conceal when you can, because something as simple as a pool, that's a target, right? When people are looking for water, that could possibly be a target of people. Oh, I know these neighbors have pools, so I know that I could go source water from these pools, right? People will be desperate and will be remembering and thinking about that. Which neighbors have pools, which neighbors had hot tubs, that type of thing. It was going to be desperate. This is not now time frame, right? This is not today and the mindset today. This is the mindset of a desperate person trying to survive. And let it be somebody like me who knows how to make water safe and knows what I can do with that water, okay? So take that for what it is. And then this very last one is very, very important, and it's scary because there's people that do not know this. Do not drink salt water. Salt water will have your body an overload of salt. Your body already has a large amount of salt in it already. And when you introduce salt water, you do nothing for your body except it will work its way through your body to your organs, and it will literally make your organs shut down. They cannot work through that much salt, okay? And so you will die, okay? Eventually you will die, okay? So do not drink salt water. That's my PSA, I guess. If anybody gets anything from this, it is not safe to drink salt water, okay? So let's talk about sources. If you look at CDC, they say that the sources for you, safest sources to get water is from rainwater, rivers, ponds, lakes, natural streams, and springs. That's what CDC says. Hey, these are sources that you could, in theory, get from fast-moving water, collect the water, make it safe to drink. When we say make it safe to drink, we are talking about everything. We are talking about straining. We're talking about then filtering it. We're talking about boiling the water. We're talking about treating the water. Okay. And testing it to make sure that you have done what you needed to do. Now, the biggest two that I get the most questions about off camera, right, in emails, DMs, different things like that, comments, whatever, is pools, hot tubs, and lots of questions about seawater, right? And how salt water and how to make that drinkable. Okay, so we're gonna go into pools. So the thing about pools is you have to do basically two things. You need to dechlorinate it and you need to distill it and or boil it. Now, the problem with distilling is that's a large process. That's a pretty expensive thing. You can do distilling in a much cheaper ways, which we'll talk more with the saltwater conversation. But again, a pool, there's two ways you look at pools when it comes to survival and water. You either have a pool that you have then set up from start, knowing that you plan to have it as a drinking source for a SHTF situation, right? So meaning you have this pool and you're treating it per the manual to make it viable so that you can manipulate the levels of your chlorine and your treatment in order to make it drinkable, right? So you have it where it's set up. You have a filter on this pool for sure. You have a way to keep that water moving with this filter. You have a way to keep the water moving during grid down with powering it. You have chlorinated this pool. And you have kept the numbers that are great for kiddos and stuff swimming in it. And then you have a way that you're going to put it through a treatment of filtering it and boiling it so that you can get the parts per million to where you need it to be for it to be able to be drank. Now, the problem is when people start messing with other people's pools because you do not know what that person has put in the pool. And there is pool shock, which is essentially the stuff you need to make water safe to drink. But there's stuff and products out there that have other chemicals in them. And so when you're getting into thinking about the possibility of drinking somebody else's pool water, you're really, that's really contaminated until it's not. Okay, so you start with testing it and seeing how high all the levels are and what's in it. And you absolutely are going through and not missing any steps when it comes to that water, right? You are testing it, then you are filtering it through a good filtering system, a good activated charcoal filtering system, and you're getting all that stuff out, and then you're boiling it, okay? And then you're testing or treating it accordingly to what you need, okay, to get it to the levels you need, because there is the possibility of there being other stuff in there. People will argue, oh, it's expensive to do it. It's not. This isn't rocket science. You can treat water, okay? And then you can test it and see if you've done your due diligence or not, right? You never know. They might have had something funky in there. The takeaway from this is if you're trying to use your pool as a viable source for drinking water later on as a backup, that is a bona fide option. If you plan to start sourcing water from other pools, you need to be very careful, and each step of the way you need to not miss anything as you work through the water treatment process, okay? Because that's a big deal. A lot of people will tell you that distilling it must be distilled. But if you are running it through a great filtering system, activated charcoal type system, and you are boiling it, you are essentially, and treating it, you're essentially doing the treatment process, and you will be okay. Okay. But if you have a big distillery, you have a big system set up, you got to do it yourself, whatever, and you're able to do bigger parts of water, that's fine. But even with that, I'm still running it through the basic treatment of water process, okay, period. Now, same thing goes for hot tubs. It's really no different, right? Same theory in regards to different stuff being put in the water, chemicals, and how do you ensure you're taking that stuff out of the water and getting it to a place where it's safe to drink, okay? Seawater, okay, get a lot of this. The problem with seawater is it's very expensive. There's expensive machines out there that will basically, turn seawater or salt water into drinkable water. It's kind of like RO though, where it wastes water, right? You're going to, for every gallon of water you get, you're going to have, 2 gallons of brine with unusable water, right? This super concentrated salt water that you would not be able to use for anything, even for something as simple as flushing toilets or doing something, because it's so concentrated with salt, that extra brine, right? That off brining. There is, however, ways to distill salt water, right? You can build do-it-yourself sun distilleries where you have a catchment of water that you've built that holds water. You have the side, piece of plastic that's at an angle, and as the sun warms up that water and makes condensation on that glass piece or that plastic piece that's angled, that falls down into some kind of gutter or catchment system, and that water is then desalinated, and you're able to then put it through the water treatment, right? You're still going to go through the treatment and drink that water. Now, and you could do that on a big scale, right? You could build out some big do-it-yourself distilleries, sun distilleries. You could go a step further, and if you're able to engineer and have a way to heat the water underneath the bigger pool catchment that you had water in, that you pour the seawater into, if you have a way to heat that up to speed up the process of condensation on the sliding piece, that's a possibility too. So is it impossible to do? I hate when people say you can't do it without some expensive machine, or it's too expensive, so don't tell people to do that. No, when it comes down to survival, people are going to be very creative. We're going to have to be creative. We're going to have enough knowledge to figure out, how can we do this stuff? What can we build to make things work for us? That's what our people did, you guys. They figured stuff up, and they were they built things and they figured it out. They were inventive. Okay. So is it possible? Absolutely. Would it take some work? Absolutely. Is the bang for the buck, meaning, how much water are you possibly getting off that sun, that condensation, whatever? Yeah, it's a slower process, and it's not, gallons upon gallons upon gallons of water. But if you're talking about having a way to make something safe to drink, to get some water into your system every day, your family, it's well worth it. You will die without water. You have to have water. That's another argument. People say, like, oh, you won't die without water. I don't drink water. I haven't drank water for a while. Baby, you're drinking water. You just don't realize it. You're drinking it with your 7 or 8 cups of coffee a day, your tea, your juice, your soda, whatever you're drinking throughout the day has some amount of water in it. So you're getting water. You're eating fruits. You're eating stuff that has natural waters and juices in it. I cannot stand when people are like, no, you won't start to. Your body, if you do not have water, okay, they say 3 days. 24 hours, your body starts shutting down. It starts the process of shutting down when you are not getting any fluids into your system. Okay. That's facts. Facts. Okay. You will die. Okay. And for people out there that are like, don't get water from a lake or a river or whatever. No, baby, get the water and make it safe to drink and survive. Okay. But you need to ensure that you are making it safe to drink. Another thing. Do not do a taste test way of doing your water. Meaning, people are out in the wild, or you're up the street at the river or wherever, and people will take a drink and say, I'm going to wait whatever X amount of time, and if I don't get sick, the water is good. Please do not do that, okay? That's the most asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. Please do not do that, okay? There's several reasons why you would not do that. One, it takes a while for some of those those viruses and stuff to work itself through your body, okay? So here you are, you take a sip of water and you're like, okay, I waited an hour and I didn't get sick. I'm not pooping myself. I'm not throwing up. The water's good and I'm just going to drink it, right? It's running, it's free running water, it's springing down. I'm just going to drink it. And I did the taste test and it's fine. Do not do that. Okay, absolutely do not do that, because one, it takes a while for some stuff to run through its course through your body, and by the time you've by the time you've figured out, oh no, something's wrong with the water, it's too late. You've drank so much water that it's too late. Okay. Second of all, the water can change. So let's just say, for my folks that are real earthy, real holistic, like I do that and I've been doing that and I'll be fine from the end of time, I'm not gonna do this, right? I'm telling you right now, it just takes one person to shit in the water upstream where you got that water source that was good that day, and then the next day it's not good. Okay, we do not test like that. That's not scientific. That's not treating water. That's not the way to do this. Okay, you're either trying to survive or you're not, and you need to take water through a water treatment process in order to make it safe. And you need to assume that it is always contaminated, and maybe one day you went through the process and it was clean water and you're like, this is a great source, whoop de whoop, whatever. But then the next day you have a bunch of people that maybe are sick. There's a pandemic. They all got in the water, or you had a bunch of people, pooping in the water. Think about the people that are too dainty to wipe their butt with a leaf, or they just have to take a really nasty number 2 and they're just like, I can't, I have to be in the water so I can do it. And then I can clean myself. Or say they do it outside the water, but then they get in the water to clean all that up. And all of that now is downstream going towards you. Okay. Animals passing away, anything, especially if we're in a time where there is people dying, there is animals dying, there is a pandemic, there's any kind of disease, plague, anything like that going on. Even if we're in a situation where there's just no water system and there's no sewer system, right? Meaning people are not able to go to the bathroom in their homes. The average family is not able to use the sewer system to flush biohazard down into the pipes, right? And now you have folks that are defecating and using their bathrooms everywhere. Okay. It's not pretty, and it's not going to be a good time. And this scenario is why you have people like me that do these videos about, oh, all these people are going to die. Well, a lot of people are going to die from not having the knowledge of water, that what could happen to water being contaminated, right? Assuming that it looks good, so it is good. Assuming because I tasted it and it tastes good, that it is good, okay? That is going to kill millions of people. And that is not even getting into the fact of when we can't get water. Like, people might know how to make water safe, but they can't find water to make safe, okay? So do yourself some service, right? Keep researching, learn how to do this yourself. Depending on what's in your area, right? Get a map, look in your neighborhood, see what's going around, what's around you, right? Take some water samples now. See what you're working with now. See where water sources are coming from originally, right? Where are they winding from? If you are trying to set up water sources, like you have land and you're trying to dig a pond, or you want a pool that is specifically for that, do your research and make sure. I'm going to refer you back to the manual. Again, I'll put it in the description box of this video as well. It has all the measurements for water treatment, depending on what type of treatment you're using, right? And what size container, all that good stuff, right? So utilize that knowledge. Utilize that when you're setting up your pool or your hot tub or whatever it is you're doing, right, on your property, and have multiple sources. 2, if you're still in the mindset of you haven't found your forever home and you're in the market for buying land, buying home, there's certain things that I think are must-haves for the future. One of them is water sources, and 2 is wood, okay? Water sources. And when I say water sources, again, I can't stand when somebody's like, well, I have the land and I have a well. Okay. And then I'll ask them, do you have something as simple as a hand pump? What are you going to do when the grid goes down and you can't get your water out? And a lot of them have not planned for that. So that source is dead in the water. Okay. 2, you have a hand pump, but what is the other options for water on your property, right? What are your other options around you, okay? In case something happens to that well, it dries up, it gets super contaminated, too contaminated to where you cannot drink it anymore. You can't even treat it and drink it. You just have to think this stuff through on the future. What is going to be important in the future in regards to being able for you and your family to resource and get water, okay? Because it's going to be again, it's going to be a game changer, and you're either going to be in the point where you've prepared for it and you've researched it and you know enough to get yourself through treating water no matter where you get it, or you're not. Right? And this stuff is going away. Let me tell you about a subscriber yesterday. I had a few subscribers hit me up yesterday, and they're like, hey, Tasha, we watched your video, and we watched, your favorite preserver that you like to put in your long-term water storage that I've been using for years. I absolutely love this stuff. And how about they went on the Amazon? I had it in my Amazon page, whatever. They went there. How about you cannot find it? It's out on Amazon. You cannot buy it on Amazon right now. Then they went further, tried to find it, off-site, off Amazon, right online. Out, can't find it. So, is there other products? Obviously there is, but this stuff, if you are not paying attention, is getting snatched up. It's getting grabbed up. I don't know if you notice this, but pool shock has been an issue for a while. Okay. For years, people in certain areas have had issues with trying to get pool shock and get their, their calcium hypochlorate and their sodium hypochlorate and their bleach, the chlorine, all this stuff, right? So get what you need. Figure out how you're going to store it long-term. And keep it for as long as you can, right? Because it does expire or it can be compromised. And get this stuff now and make sure that you have it in your preps, okay? Hopefully you guys tune in tomorrow. We'll go over the grocery list, and we're going to talk from everything from A to Z, all the things that are needed when we talk about water, making water safe, items that we use, things we use, and so that you can kind of see and go down and see what things you may or may not have, what you need to still get. Maybe that makes you peek on something else that you need. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. I know these videos are not doing that well with the views this whole entire week. As far as me and analytics, you would think I'm putting out trash videos. And what's crazy is this is probably some of my most important videos that I've ever done on my channel, are these videos that I've done this week in regards to water. This information is going to save lives, and it's depressing a little bit to know that it's not important to people. And when I say people, the broad scope of people, there's not a lot of people that want to click and learn how to make water safe. And I'll tell you, it's a game until it's not. Look at these people in Mississippi. It's a game until it's not a game anymore. So anyway, I hope you guys are well. We are well. We're actually picking up more water barrels tomorrow from a local lady. So super excited about that. Doing these videos is helping me look again at my own holes, maybe look at some other options that I hadn't gotten into yet. And so just so that, again, I like options. I like having several different ways to do things, or having several different ways to do stuff. So like for treatment, for example, having different stuff, because if you can't find an item or whatever the case may be. Okay. So I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next video. Take care. Bye.